right. Well, welcome, Jenna. I'm so excited to be here co-hosting, and I'm so excited that you, one of my buddies, is here joining us for the interview. First, we'd love to start with a little reflection back to the early days. So let's go back in the time machine in your mind. Imagine it's your senior year of high school
Oh, wow.
and you're contemplating your future. Tell us a little bit about the vision you had way back then.
I love this question. My vision back when I was a senior in high school was I was going to get in broadcast. I was going to be a reporter and a writer. And I realized very quickly that if I wanted to do that and sports, I couldn't go to the University of Louisville because they didn't have a broadcast program at the time. So I said, well, what else would I want to do? Well, why can't I create a magazine company? So business sounds like, a good idea. So then I started down the route of business school, not really thinking I would ever own a.
All right. Well, welcome, Jenna. I'm so excited to be here co-hosting, and I'm so excited that you, one of my buddies, is here
Thank
joining
you.
us for the interview. First, we'd love to start with a little reflection back to the early days. So let's go back in the time machine in your mind. Imagine it's your senior year of high school
Oh, wow.
and you're contemplating your future. Tell us a little bit about the vision you had way back then.
Business,
Oh,
but it
interesting.
was like plan B. I'm interested in it. Seems like it would, it
So you were
would
going to
go
start a
well.
media company
Media
instead of
company.
going into broadcast.
Yep.
So let me back up because you made a comment here that said if you wanted to go to U of L. Well, why would you want to go to U of L if they don't have the program that you wanted?
Because at that time, senior year, I was going to go Division 1 for a sport. And so I was actually verbally committed to another school, and I visited Louisville and fell in love. I just thought it was this hidden gem. And I don't know if you ever got the feeling or get the feeling when you walk into a place or meet a person where it's just home, like it
Mhm.
just is familiar. I mean, no joke. I felt that. And I was the person that was like, people don't have teeth down here. Are they going to wear shoes?
Where are
I
you?
mean, at this time in high school,
Where
we
were you
had
from?
MapQuest,
Where were?
Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
so you didn't have like the internet. You could go like
Yeah.
look and Google stuff. So, I mean, we showed up and I mean, the waterfront wasn't what it was. It was still like scrapyard ish. And I just so happened to have that visit during Thunder of Louisville. And so I got to see the
The
city
city at its
at its
best.
best,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "I'm coming here, like, I wanna be here," and so they didn't have the program, and I just figured, "Alright, like, I'll make it work somehow, it's fine." So,
And then you made it your
and the rest is
And that's what
history,
you've always
and that's what I
done, is
did.
just made it work. You
yeah.
just made
Just
it
made it
work.
work.
So you had studied business after going through college there and studying business. Then did you feel like, I want to be an entrepreneur? Did you start to get the bug?
It's funny, maybe some entrepreneurs can relate to this. I didn't really think it was a bug or anything different or unique about me. Just so happened to see that there was an opportunity in Louisville. There wasn't multiple club field hockey teams. So me and two other women started Bluegrass Premier. And I just thought that I was, see a need, fill a need. I didn't really think of that as a business ownership. How naive am I? Or two, entrepreneurial. And then got that set up and decided okay, like I did that. I really want to hone in on my automotive career. And so I was very entrepreneurial, but I really didn't think about it like that. And no, I was not thinking about starting a business, nor I just did, and nor did I think that I did. So
It's funny. There's a lot of people who like become accidental entrepreneurs. They don't even identify it, but they had to create an organization to do the thing that they did. And then all of a sudden, oh, oops, I'm an entrepreneur.
correct. That
Yeah.
was it. It was like, oh, all right.
Well, you all both started kind of your career part in automotive. So kind of tell me, I guess, because you both did, about that, because that world seems like it's super male dominated. And yet two of my good business friends both started their careers there.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Maggie?
Sure, I'll go first. First of all, I think that automotive business is an incredible training ground. It's like CrossFit for business because it's not a joke. Like, you are negotiating dollars, you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with employees who have different competing motivations within the same business. It's a series of parts department, service department, sales department, they're all different P&Ls, and yet they all have to figure out how to collaborate and get together. So yeah, I took the job working for my father because that's who I'd always worked for growing up, and he offered me an opportunity, and I was like, I'll do it for a minute. But I came out of there like ripped business wise. Like I knew how to handle customers, I knew how to handle employees. I didn't even know. I
Yeah.
was just like, I'm just working in the car business.
So
Yeah.
how did you get to automotive? Since this was a family business for her, how did you manage your way there?
So it's just funny looking back how the dots connect. When I was raised by a single mom, and so she was a guidance counselor turned athletic director. During the summer, she got 2 or 3 jobs, right? Because she had off. And one of those jobs was at the Mannheim Automotive Auction, the world's oldest one, and she would drive vehicles through the lane. And so I'll never forget the first time I went, there was, everything was loud, there was auctioneers, there was really cool cars. And at that location, you had this huge cafeteria where Amish came and created food, and dealers would come in, have their lunch, go back out and buy cars. I thought this thing was like Disney World. Like I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And so fast forward when I was at the University of Louisville, again, single mom family, needed to have a job. I kind of looked at automotive, and J&L Marketing was actually an automotive digital marketing agency. And so I traveled for them all around the country facilitating service and sales campaigns. And for me, it was a comfort thing. It felt like, oh, this is kind of home. It's like my summers.
Mhm.
And so I don't know if you're from automotive, I feel like it's hard to get out. Like it's always pulls you back in. And so I just think it was automotive, that world pulling me back in a little bit and giving me some guidance and direction. And I'm very grateful to Maggie's point about what you learn in the industry. It's unlike anything, and I love it. And I feel like I got my MBA the hard knocks way in dealerships.
And I will say Mannheim, we bought a lot of cars at Mannheim. My dad and I would take a day trip and go up to an auction, Mannheim auction. And yeah, they drive them through the lane and you walk up and you look at them. And my dad had this totally off topic. My dad had this whole system when he bid. He would go to the auctioneer and he would say, if I am looking at you, I'm bidding.
Ooh,
He didn't want other dealers to know what he was bidding on because we would do a ton of research and we'd take our thing to measure how thick the paint was on the car, all the panels and everything.
yeah.
He said, if I'm looking at you, I'm bidding.
Okay, that's
And so
incredible.
everyone would be, who is
That's kind of
bidding
like
on
a
this
badass
car?
move,
I
like,
know,
you
I know.
know.
So he would just stare at the guy, and then when he looked down, like he was done bidding. It was so much fun. I
That's
loved Mannheim. I
cool.
loved
I
going to
know.
Mannheim. It was like
It's cool.
yeah, a whole world.
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So, I
awesome.
mean, that was like, oh, this industry is cool. I want to be a part of it, which is, again, I didn't realize as a little girl, it was male dominated and all the things that go along with it. I was attracted to it.
Yeah, the fast pace and the funness.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, like, what took you from the automotive industry into entrepreneurship?
So my last stint in corporate America was with Cox Automotive. And so I was essentially this consultant for dealers, plugging and playing Cox's 20 different companies into, their business. And at the time, I mean, the internet, you have to remember, people still didn't really believe that advertising online was a thing. And it's funny sitting here now in 2024 talking about that because of the amount of ad money that's spent. But I recognize that it was changing the marketing sphere, and I wanted to be a part of that change. And my previous experience, I worked under 3 Google Premier partners. I had been fortunate enough to get Google Ad and Analytics certified, and I really understood that the dealers I was consulting, I mean, some of them still had a flip phone, and they were spending $10,000 on ads on the internet, and they were getting a report that was like 5 numbers deep, and they weren't selling any more cars. And they're like, well, I guess it's a necessary evil. I gotta spend the money. And I'm like, but there's ways to optimize this. Like, we should be getting more information and insights. And so Cox gave me the ability to launch GuardianOwl Digital, which my main goal was side hustle, help small to medium sized businesses in Louisville just with their online visibility and being able to understand the allocation of their digital investment and optimize it. And it just grew. And again, no foresight into building this business with employees. It was just really, it bloomed out of the desire to fill that need of small to medium sized businesses not understanding the internet and knowing if they didn't, they were going to get left behind. Yeah.
Opportunity, and you took hold of it. How old were you when you did that?
24.
Okay.
Wow, 24.
A big jump.
Yeah, big jump. And so where were you with the field hockey business?
Oh, I started that and I left that with the two partners probably a year after, because if anybody has started a club or coaching, I mean, one, there's not a lot of money in it. It's all like blood, sweat, and tears. And I couldn't be there coaching these girls and navigate a career in automotive. The time investment it wasn't working. So I coached 1 year at Manual. We won the first state championship since 1942. Brittany Tolan was the head coach.
Wow.
And we started this Bluegrass Premier together. And I said, listen, this is it. I'm going out. I'm going out with a
Tapping
bang.
out.
I'm tapping out. And yeah. And so then I kind of left Bluegrass and Premier and then Manual, and I really focused on building my career.
Yeah.
And did your field hockey and sports experience, like how has that influenced you as a business owner and leader? Like how has sports been sort of fed into business?
Oh, I feel like every day. I mean, I can't name something in business without being able to see a parallel with sports, whether it's working with a team, football right now where 'tis the season, being a quarterback for a client, just having to pivot, having to understand and learn from losses and get back out with enthusiasm. There are so many layers that are infused on a daily basis from sports that I am so grateful for. And
Mhm.
truly, like, that's why I got into coaching, because I never appreciated the time or what it took from the coaches that really, I think, mentored me and built me into who I am today. And so I wanted to really give back to the sport that continues to give me so much. So,
Mhm. I think about like from the sports angle, like quick recovery, the
Mm-hmm.
rejection and the tenacity, grit, that part of just like dedicating. But I also think of a lot of women that I come across in entrepreneurship have played some level of sports, maybe not all the way to collegiate, but um, because it had trained a level of aggressiveness that, a lot of times that aggressive woman is like thought of as like a negative thing. And I got that so much early on in my career.
mhm.
And I wasn't even mean. I was like bubbly and kind. And I would say you're in that same way, but just like determined, right? Or like um, clear about what I want and I'm going to go get it. And people don't know what to do with that. But I learned those things in sports. Like,
No, not
Mhm.
easily dissuaded. I mean, in
yeah.
sports, it's like loss after loss after practice, practice, practice. I do think you learn to have that grit. And like, of course, you're not going to win it on every single play, you
Yeah.
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point, I think early on in my career, I saw that as, oh, like this is something that as a characteristic I can use. But then when you used it, or at least for me, again, being in a male dominated industry, I was the one pushing back and questioning, oh, well, we've always done it like that. Well, I think that this way's better. Have we tried this? And it wasn't always welcomed.
No, absolutely not. I
So
got myself in a lot of trouble.
exactly. So I kind of learned, hey, like pay your dues and, just be careful a little bit of where you share your opinion. So yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I learned the lesson, which is why entrepreneurship was inevitable because it was like I didn't know how to like rein it back in.
Yeah, it was
fair
a
enough.
real frustration after I left my father's company. I had a job for a while and I just realized how little my opinion mattered. And I was like, "Well, I don't want to go there. I want to go back to being, because I was in charge of my
A
dad's
leader.
company. So it's like, yeah, I want to get back to that because I don't have much patience for people who aren't interested in what I think.
Yeah.
It's also, but it's also
Like this.
interesting because it's like I think I care about what other people think also. Like maybe because of that experience, I wouldn't dismiss someone's idea so quickly. But like that was an experience I'm sure that all of us have had where it was just like, shut up, little girl.
Yeah.
And it was like a tap and a move on. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. I was told I was a bull in a china shop at one point, and they were like, "You're like the nicest bull in the china shop, but you kind of," and it's like, I, but A plus B equals C, and I don't understand why you don't see C. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Maggie, you made a really great point off camera that resonated with me. You said, well, if I'm gonna be working this hard, staying up late, thinking about, the stresses, I want those stresses to be mine, right? I want to
Yeah.
own it
I want to create the
versus
stress.
versus another I'm thinking about my
Yes.
boss. Yeah. So,
So tell me, all right, you're at Cox Automotive,
yep.
and now you have this idea for digital marketing agency for small and medium-sized businesses. Did you try to do it inside of there and decided to take it out? Did you decide you wanted your own business? What was that more specifically the mechanism of like, I am now creating a new company?
Yeah, I was working a lot. So Cox was an amazing opportunity, amazing company, and there's a line out the door, right, of consultants that would like to take your spot. So it wasn't a 9 to 5 type job, and I was not thinking about starting my own company. A friend called me up. It was a U of L game, and Learfield, I guess, a suite. They didn't have a bartender, and I've served and bartended. So she's like, "Hey, do me a favor. Can you just come? Just serve, 'cause, I need
Come
my
help.
job, come help." So I'm like, sure. So like I was behind the bar at a suite, giving out beers, making drinks, chit-chatting, gift a gab. And I run across a gentleman that owned a marketing company in Louisville. And he started talking to me just about marketing because I was like, hey, I'm not usually a bartender. And I started to kind of give him some insight into, well, ask the radio station this or ask, these questions that'll help your clients. And it really just started from there. He started emailing me performance reports, and I would, take my pen and redline them. And he said, hey, like, I think you got something here. Can I pay you to send, you digital stuff so I can kind of like keep some things in house? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm busy. I
Mhm.
have a lot going on. And eventually it just got to the point where I'm like, I really like this and I want to help these HVAC companies, roofing companies in Louisville. And I'm not from here. It seems like from my knowledge in the automotive side of Louisville, it's very close knit. Where'd you go to high school? So he was from here. And I just thought that's a really good stepping stone to be able to not have the company all on me and have somebody feeding clients and work. And so we partnered, and it really just then stemmed from being able to outperform broadcast and radio and media companies trying to sell digital marketing.
Yeah. So you decided to make a partnership, and I think partnerships is something that we're we all do at some point in business. Like even if you are a solo owner, at some point you're going to have some sort of partnership. And a lot of times I've seen other female business owners also kind of just find themselves in a partnership based on the idea. Tell us a little bit about what that looked like. Were you 50-50? Did you, who came up with the name GuardianOwl? How did you put was there any capital involved? Because largely someone saw an opportunity or something that you could do and kind of helped you build that thing up, but it was really you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's always a team effort, and certainly, I would not have done it without that nudge and push from somebody else. And I mean, again, because I was busy and focused on, hey, I want to climb this ladder to C-suite at Cox Automotive. So my it really was just the desire to help the small to medium sized businesses. And from a capital standpoint, it was just both our savings essentially. And then clients, money that we put away to be able to start hiring people. Um, it was a 51% ownership for me and then 49 for him. And I was 24. And to your point about partnerships, you don't know what you don't know. I certainly thought I was invincible and knew it all at 24. And I really learned quickly that you need to have partners that strip everything away, you align from a core value standpoint. And I don't care if that's marriage or a business partnership or a friendship. I mean, sometimes it's just
So true.
it just matters
So
so much.
true.
And I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And um when you start to scale a business, again, not knowing, those values they will float right up to the surface when it comes to hiring people, when it comes to distributions, when it comes to pay, how you treat employees, just overall mentality. And so as we grew, it was very clear that we come from different backgrounds and we have different thoughts on where this business and vision is going. And it just got to a point where I couldn't do it anymore. And my sports mentality came out, and I'm like, well, I'm going to do what's best for the company and I'm going to buy you out. And I went down that journey.
How many years were you into business at this point? And like kind of revenue standpoint, employee standpoint, where were you at?
Yeah. So we started the LLC, I want to say in like 2013, 14. Yeah, because we're 10 years in. And it was 2 years later of basically, working early in the morning, late at night, in between jobs on weekends where I'm like, okay, I gotta take this leap full time. So full time in after 2 years starting the business, we weren't really at it for even a year and a half before that decision was made. So I would say 2016, I went full time. 2018, I bought them out.
And
And then
did you have any
revenue.
employees yet?
Yeah. So that was the other thing. So we had 5 employees. And that was so difficult to navigate. And we had just hit 7 figures in revenue, not profit, revenue. And I learned a lot about that at that time.
Big difference.
Yes, big difference. But again, I think entrepreneurship is glamorized, and you chase after this revenue number, and then you realize once you get there, wait a second, what actually matters. Regardless, so we had 5 employees. Some went with him, some went with me. That was just gut wrenching. Clients, some during the negotiation went with him, some went with me. We had a 2 year non compete. It was really horrible. Like that. I don't wish, you don't, people say you don't wish divorce on people. I definitely don't wish that, because even if you aren't emotionally connected, and let's just say you don't like each other, there is so much that goes on through a quote business divorce, that I never even emotionally imagined that would happen. So
Yeah. So your business is an SEO company helping people get better results through organic search and paid search and all of that. If you, I think that I think you experience this, and you tell me if this is true. You talk to people who don't have a lot of familiarity with this because they've just bought from Google or they've bought pay per click and whatever. And when you kind of like pull the curtain on the reality of it, like, is there a moment when you see it like the penny drop in people's minds when you're in that sales process?
yeah. And it's Maggie, I feel like that's why I got into it. That's when I realized, wow, people don't know what they don't know. And when you do educate them, it feels like, hey, I'm guiding you towards the light right now. And I'm guarding over, your investment and your intelligence a little bit, because you're going to have to learn this as a business owner if you want to stay in business the next 20 years. At least the questions to ask, what to look for. Not saying you have to be the expert, but if you don't want wool over your eyes, you're going to have to be educated. So I feel very fortunate I still get to do that for clients.
So if there was, business, a lot of business owners, maybe they're starting out or they don't have an SEO expert at this point, or what would be the one thing you would love to be able to like let every business owner know? What would be the thing in SEO you'd be like, this is what you need to know, or this is the secret to really unlocking? Is there one thing you can share that would really be the heart of what you do?
Hmm.
What I would say is be a practitioner. And going back to sports, you have to practice. You, i- i- to me, it's okay that you don't understand, right? But if you're not willing to be the practitioner and set up your Google My Business profile, set up your social media pages, do these things that are very, there's directions on Google and there's YouTube videos that are free for you to actually create all of these. If you're not willing to do that, don't invest in SEO. Like, you need to invest that, especially when you're first
The
starting out.
foundation.
Yeah, you need to be the practitioner and invest in your own knowledge of being able to set up some of this and understand how they connect. And then you're going to get to a level where you realize, okay, I know that this isn't what I should be doing. I have the money now to allocate this to somebody else, and it makes sense from a financial standpoint to invest in somebody to do this. Because I'll tell you, I mean, SEO is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you're not going to get leads right away. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that come and say, "Hey, I want you to do this." And I say, "Well, it's $1,500 a month." And they're like, "Oh, well, I can't." And I'm like, if you can't afford this right now, or it doesn't make sense, it's not that you don't have to do it. Like, you still have to be the practitioner and do all these things if you want online visibility,
Mhm.
but it may not make sense from a profitability standpoint or for where you are in your business to have someone else do it for you. And if, as an entrepreneur, I feel like you wear as many hats and do as much as you can on your own, at least my philosophy, until it's like, okay, I have to get this off my plate. I have the money to do it. And here we go. Right. And so I would just say be a practitioner. And then from a very, very tactical recommendation, know your have ownership of your Google My Business profile and set it up, because local SEO
Mhm.
is very important.
I think what you're saying resonates with me because I love that idea that even if I don't do it, if I know it in my core, like if I can know how to read a report about my SEO and understand what's going on in my website, that will serve me forever
Hmm.
if I can at least get that base knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think you also made a point about, you're not ready for SEO basically if some of this stuff isn't done. And there's like the tactical items that are like your Google My Business, having a website, XYZ, having social media presence. And then there's also like a lot of people show up to a marketing door and thinking like, I need more customers, I need you to solve my problem. And then they don't even know who their customer is, or even sometimes what they provide. Like, it's like they might have an understanding of their products and services, but they don't understand the value that they're providing or the customer that they're serving or why they're doing it in the first place. And all of these things are the foundation that make a digital marketing strategy even possible.
Yeah.
And so it's like when they don't know who they are, they're not really ready for that. And yet, I would argue to level up your entrepreneurship game, it's time to figure that stuff out.
Ex-
Like if you're taking the time to listen to this podcast and about being a business owner and how to be good, and you need to sort some of those foundational pieces of who are my customers, why do I serve them, and to be able to even start a digital marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk. He says you can read about doing push-ups all day long, but then you got to go do them. And
Mhm.
it's like, you can read about, being an entrepreneur, doing these things, but you have to, I think the best entrepreneurs roll up their sleeves, get their hands dirty, and they can do that whether they've been in business 20 years or 1 year, because they started with the foundation of that mentality. Like, I need to know how to do this so I can train someone to do this, or so I can understand investments moving forward. And at least the mentors in my life, I feel like, are really good at that, and
Mhm.
it's grounding.
Yeah. I think one topic that I wanted to talk to you about, and it kind of talks like being this, like the entrepreneur conversation that we're having right now and the athlete conversation and the work that it goes into it. I think when we're talking about a digital world, right? Someone might see you or any of us in the digital space getting an award from, a local Louisville small business or Louisville Business First, or you on social media and all the work that you do and the companies that you help here. And they might get the wrong impression of what it actually took to get here and the tenacity and hard work. And people know that being an entrepreneur is hard work, but it can look really glamorous. And I think what's interesting about your story is in that acquisition story and in your building a business story, you delayed some gratification pretty hardcore, which is something that I think athletes learn early. So can you kind of talk about the things that people don't see on screen, or even the parts about your life that aren't business related in um, building your company? Like 24-year-old you, where do you live? What are you doing? You're working all the time. Kind of talk about all the things that got you where you're at now.
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, my mom is obvious. She's wonderful. So instilled, I think, really good fundamentals for me. I'm from a small town in Lancaster. So I always had to work. And I think that when you have that as a background, I think maybe you look at or value money a little differently. And I read a book, it's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm not sure if you've ever read it.
Mhm.
And it really sat with me because I had always grown up envisioning, like the people that are rich and successful are the ones that are in the Mercedes and they're doctors and lawyers and they wear suits to work, right? It was all like external, my impression. And I read that book and I'm like, wow, and everyone I think should read it. It's really not about how much money you're making, it's about how much you're saving. And to me, one, I have a partner who values that and lives, eats, breathes that, which I'm really grateful for. And then, two, I felt like if I want to be in business, I have to be able to be smart with money because operations and business, like you have to be wise with your dollars. And um, I, bought a 2014 Honda Accord. I'm still driving it. Um, could have probably, afforded a Highline car, but then I'm like, well, where do I go from there? And, it's not making me money each month. I'd rather invest stuff into stuff, even people that make me money each month. With my partner, we invested in a HUD home, 11 years ago. And that enabled us to reinvest in, other properties as well as our businesses over the course of the last 10 years. So we are right on the south end of town, right by Iroquois Park. It's beautiful. However, the connotation was always, oh, South End. And I'm like, yeah, it's glorious, right? So, I feel like I definitely didn't look the part in real life driving, still a Honda Accord. I live on the south end of town. I don't own a designer bag because I don't know, they're thousands of dollars and it takes $57 to make them. So I still am like weird with decisions like that. And yeah, so I just think that again, talk about mentality and core values. If one person's operating from that lens and you have, people operating on a different lens, like it's all glamour and we have to keep up with the Joneses, like that to me is not going to be sustainable in business. Like that is not, and that's not how I want business to run. If I have extra money, I'd rather reallocate it to nonprofits or building the community or building my team. And at the end of the day, like I want my team to have nicer cars and phones and everything before I do, because I believe leaders eat last. And I am willing to take that sacrifice. And maybe that does go back for sports and being a captain and putting people before you. But to me, like that is why I got into business. I want to be a servant leader, I want to be a good steward, and I'm okay with eating last.
Yeah, and I just think I've gotten to witness the, dynamic of you choosing your biggest vision before and delaying the middle steps in
Yeah.
ways that other people might not have, because you've had a business that does over 7 figures for years now and has done good amount of EBITDA, and yet you're choosing to reinvest it in other things, and I think that's really neat so that you could get to your bigger goals, whether they be personal or business. It's just you've had this, like, mentality of paying back things when you bought out and that kind of stuff. So I felt like that was worth noting because it was clearly a conscious decision that other people haven't made.
The best. You're my hype girl. Thank you. But it's not easy. It's not easy. So I will say that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to touch on are that I really love hearing about are people's failures and challenges. So I'm going to ask you to talk because they're the best teachers. In my opinion, I don't really learn from my successes. I learn a whole lot more from my failures. So is there a favorite lesson that you would say has really helped guide you?
There's a quote by Theodore Roosevelt that's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when I started out my journey, thought, again, I think I used the term invincible. I really had an ego of people do care how much I know, and I want to tell you how much I know about Google or whatever it is. And I learned the lesson by losing clients and just getting my ego bruised when it should have been. To your point, you learn from your failures. And that quote really sticks with me because it's not about me. It's about you, the client, or you, the team member, and not my agenda, but what solution is going to help you. And that shift to me helped me grow, I would say, beyond what I ever would have been capable of if I continued thinking that people care how much Jenna knows. It's not
Mhm.
about me. And so that was, I think, a really, for me, a valuable lesson, and it still sticks with me.
Sounds like a tough one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially if you're a former athlete, you kind of have this ego, right? And then you realize like,
And
okay,
you get put in your place. Yeah.
your ego needs to be put in your place. And so it's humbling, and it was well deserved. But yeah, so that really sticks with me for sure.
And I think it's very common for entrepreneurs who are successful early, which I think of you as someone you hit on a formula that was so ready for its time. And I think it's very common to be like, oh, this is easy. And then you start making mistakes because you just take it for granted. You think,
Totally.
oh, I got this. I know better. I can do better.
Totally.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been through that same thing
Yeah.
multiple times.
Like, okay, I just got smacked in the face and I deserved it. Here we go. And to your point, you got to get back up and keep going.
Exactly.
Since we talk a lot about acquisition, I think that people sometimes maybe don't realize quite how many transactions can take place because not all of these are private transactions. And we've already alluded to, and you've already kind of noted that you bought out a business partner. Um, and so, can you tell us a little bit more about that transaction? How you came to that? How you financed it? And you know, did you even consider that a like business transaction or buy like that you bought a business at that moment in time, like your mental frame point in that situation?
Well, when I went to quote acquire the business, we were, I would say, in the black, if not in the red, even though we had a whole bunch of revenue. So I learned a lot with that, and I really felt like I either need to sell to get out, sell my shares, or I buy because I have that much faith in the brand recognition. I mean, the first 5 years in business are just, I'm sure it's like raising a toddler, right? So it's like we had already gotten through the really tough point, and I just had faith in, all right, I'm going to buy this brand because the process is going to change and re-engineer it. But I forecasted with my banker what the digital marketing SEO industry were going to look like in the next 5 years too. And I had faith that I was going to be able to go out and continue to generate revenue. So that to me was as naive as in, you know, it, clearly like I didn't have a pen and paper and like had an algorithm that said, yes, buy this business. So it was, I would say, more emotional based, but I believed in it. So we seeked out a lawyer and we negotiated what that would look like. And so for us, it was, me paying a upfront cash amount and then a monthly amount for the next 2 years, and then splitting clients truly like down the middle and negotiating that.
Did your partner work full time in the business at that point?
He actually had another company, so it was a more of a traditional marketing company, and so that was also like one of the hair that broke the camel's back, because it was like if you're not going to work, roll up your sleeves and get in here, then you need to be a silent partner or give money, and I'm not going to continue to pay salary if this isn't happening. And so that really obviously broke
That
the camel's
started
back.
the that
Yeah,
started
the
the conversation.
spiral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and so for me, where I was, my partner and I had just gotten engaged. I had savings, and instead of buying or having a wedding, I bought a business. And so I still feel great because I know weddings typically are like one day, and I feel like I still got mine. So I'm a little like, d-
There's the delayed
there's
gratification
the
there.
delayed
Yeah.
gratification.
Yeah.
So I have not had a wedding, a formal wedding, but I feel like I had the choice and I chose a business. And it was very, people were very confused. I remember, when are you getting married, was like the question that kept happening. And all I could think about was, I don't know if I can make payroll next week. Like, in my mind was like, I have so many other things to do.
Mm.
So, yeah, it was a unique journey, and it was very lonely and isolating. And I felt very almost ashamed. I had like grief in my decision. I went through a lot of stages, and I just hope that I can be like someone's support system who does go through that, because there's things that you're going through that there's not, 50 women that have gone through it that you can lean into. And for me, I need my wolf pack. Like, I need my team of
Mhm.
women that I can go to. So um hopefully I can be that for somebody else.
Yeah. And I think we've actually done a better job in the recent years of kind of creating some of those communities here in town. And if you're in another town, building out that for yourself. Um, Maggie is one of the biggest reasons why I feel like we have several
Yeah.
like little pockets of women business owners that have been able to find each other. She like plays
Yeah.
matchmaker for us.
She does.
And it's one of my favorite things. Put a bunch of women in a room. It's the best feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a lonely journey.
Very.
And I know that you kind of went at it at a time of your start of Sanorama was even before we had these groups. Did you feel
Yeah.
those same kind of feelings at any point in that journey?
Well, it was definitely part of why I bought a franchise, was because I wanted a squad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know there was someone I could call. And then, of course, now locally, I have a ton of network, and of course, I was cold calling. I mean, it was just like knocking on doors, old school
Yeah.
marketing. And so, yeah, but I've always been a team. I'm always a team player. Like,
Yeah.
I've realized, like, that's my space, is I got to be around people and work together on something.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's true for me too. Yeah. When I was looking at buying, I didn't want a one person entity or solo entity. I need a team that I work with. And then I also need like my community of other people to help be the cheerleaders. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hype
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah. Hype
Hype
girls.
girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What would be the three things that you think are responsible for your success in business? Are there three qualities that you bring?
Hmm. Can I say stubbornness? Just kidding.
I
I'd
think
say
that counts.
I call that
yeah.
persistence,
Yeah.
I was
not
gonna say
stubbornness.
resilience, being curious. I think that I'm a very curious person, which is better for worse. But I seek out things that I don't understand. I really am curious. So resilience, curious, and I would say stubborn. I really think that that helps me being stubborn. And not in every relationship, but I think being successful in business, I think that that has really served me well. So,
Yeah, you can't fail until you give up. So as long
yeah,
as you
I
don't
don't
give
like to
up,
give
then you
up.
Yeah.
haven't failed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. In my head, it seems like that. So,
Tell us where GuardianOwl is now and kind of like team, what you all do, services that you provide, so that we can kind of talk about like you're obviously still what I would call like in the middle of your story, right? Like
totally.
but where are you at now? So you started when you were only 24 years old. You end up buying a partner out a few, 2018 timeframe. Here we are, 2024. Where are you at?
Well, I'll be 37 soon, which is
I
crazy.
didn't mean to make you say that,
when you
but
say 24, I'm like, gosh, it feels like 10 minutes and like 100 years all in like one sentence. So like I said, I went full time 2016, 2018, bought out the partner, which really was, I mean, reset. And so I consider 2019 the reset pivot year. And so really in the past, 4 or 5 years, we've grown back up to 10 team members, 6 independent contractors that we bring in based on the ebbs and flows of business. And we focus on generating new business leads for companies through the internet. So whether that is through SEO, pay-per-click advertising, social media, content, podcast production, because we have partners. We are now a full service digital marketing agency, which is really cool to be able to say. So we have an in-house photographer, we have in-house buyers for ads, we have 4 account managers, we have copywriters, and so it's so different than when we first started out, where our real focus was SEO and pay per click. Now we've really expanded to a holistic approach with our clients, and then being able to, again, to use a sports analogy, be the quarterback for the client and bring in a wide receiver if they need podcast production, bring in, a running back for videography, whatever it is, they can come to us and we'll serve them based on the relationships we have, the process that we've been able to cement and perfect within our team. And then just trust. I think that we have gone through a Rolodex of different partners throughout the years and different ways of digital marketing, and we know what works. And whether that's for e-commerce or B2B or manufacturing or automotive, there's different levers you have to pull. And so I would say that's what right now we're doing. And I'm excited because it's so different than where we were 10 years ago, being able to full service deliver on marketing efforts for companies.
And then where do you think GuardianOwl is going in the future? Like, what's your biggest vision? Is it to scale and sell? Is it to, what is your vision for GuardianOwl in the future?
Well, I'm like one of those people where it's like I wake up and it's Groundhog Day. Like it's hard for me to think like 20 years down the road, well, I want to exit. And of course, the right number, right? Of course, I would think about that. But really, where I want to go is I think that we're at a really exciting point that no one's ever been at before. It's generative AI and marketing. We're at a crossroads. And so to me, I feel like I have a front row seat to be able to be the practitioner with all these new tools, be able to see what works and guide clients through this digital transformation journey we're all on. So I am more excited than ever to continue to grow and learn and build a team of experts around me that are way smarter and can continue this journey for GuardianOwl to help serve our community and beyond. I want it to continue to scale for sure. And it'd be great to have like a London office and be able to,
Oh,
like
London, is that the
exactly. I
place?
would love to like be able to travel
Sounds pretty
and
good.
think
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
good.
Yeah. Be
You
like,
are talking
Ellie,
about
come on.
London, England, aren't you?
London, England, not Kentucky.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For those listening, it was London. Yeah. But yeah, I want that. I want that. And we have a nest full of women, and it's pretty cool that we've been able to attract high quality, high value women and men. But to me, having come from always male dominated industries and teams, this is the first time in a long time that I'm surrounded by women on a daily basis and we get shit done and we care. And I'm excited to continue that growth journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
That is
Do you have any
awesome.
other questions, Maggie?
No, it's fabulous. This has been really interesting. No big shocks to me. Of course, you are such a genuine person, so who you are and how you do things really shines through.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I'm so lucky that I get to call both of you friends in this world, coming into my own entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I've been in and out of it for years, but taking over Resonate, you both have been a part of that for me. And just having that wolf pack, as you say, there when that happened, and being able to see how each of us have our different parts of us, but you are a renegade. Like you might not have acquired your business from the start. It might have been your idea, but you still saw an opportunity and took a different path that other people didn't see at the time. That was really at the beginning. And here we are at this impetus moment again, and you're taking a new direction with the AI stuff. So if you don't know Jenna and you don't know GuardianOwl Digital, Resonate is a client, and I have just been so highly impressed with your team. And also, we get to make your podcast, Go
Yeah, go
AI,
AI.
and learning more about how we can implement and utilize AI into our businesses, into our systems and processes to make us better rather than being afraid of the new technology. And I just love that curiosity and how that's played out. So thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for giving us your time and your story and the nitty-gritty parts of it that people don't get to see. We
The
see that,
non-glamorous part.
yeah,
Right.
there's so much of this that's not glamorous.
Very much
yeah,
not
yeah.
glamorous.
So thank you so much for
No,
being here.
thank you.